What is going on, Obscure Mic people? If you couldn't tell already, it's robe night. It's robe night on Obscure Mics. So I don't normally do a whole lot of interface reviews or anything like that, or checking out interfaces, but I do buy a lot of them. I don't always throw them on the channel because Julian Krause and Bandrew and Bronson and all those guys, Audio Hotline Podcastage, JK, Julian Krause, they're just better. They're just better. Like, I recommend you go watch their interface reviews. But when I have one that I am excited about or have anything good or bad to say about, I typically want to just throw them on the channel before I ship them off, because you guys know how I do things. But I got the Podtrak from Zoom, the Podtrak P4, $199 device. You can get it for $170, $180 here lately on a lot of places. And this is a 2 AA Powerhouse. 2 AA batteries. Of course, anyone who's interested in this, you've already seen a video, I'm sure. But I am recording on the Podtrak P4. I'm also using a Samson Q2U with the XLR port, just because, why not? I've never had the Q2U on the channel. I'm going to throw it up in a battle against another USB mic pretty soon. But just figured I'd throw it on here, talk about this a little bit. And I want to talk about the pros and cons and who this is for, which is kind of obvious. It's for podcasters. But why is it for podcasters? So let's go ahead and I'll show you the device. Like I said, I am recording with it right now with the Samson Q2U. It does take 2 AA batteries. It does have 4 XLR ports, which is just, for the price and the portability and the power in these preamps, I just don't know, as a podcaster, how you can beat this. If you are a multi-person podcast, let me be a little more clear. I don't know how you beat this thing. Seriously, I just don't. Something I love and I want out of my devices, I don't like to record to my computer. I don't like all the extra gear. I like to go as simplistic as possible. I like hardware recorders, something you can put an SD card in and forget about it. So the Zoom Podtrak P4 fits the bill there, as it's got a SD card slot on the side. As you can see there, we've also got a couple of USB-C ports, a DC 5 volt, and a USB branded connection. And what those are what you think they are. The USB branded connection is your data transfer USB-C connection. So you don't have to take the SD card out every time to transfer data. You can just run a cable from this to your computer and transfer stuff back and forth that way. Your DC 5 volt USB-C connection is obviously to plug into a power bank or your computer. Or, you know, whatever, a wall plug to get power. You don't have to rely on the AA batteries, and I think that's a plus. I think that is a massive plus. So power-wise, you've got options. Functionality-wise, you have options. Like I said, you've got 4 headphone jacks, and they do the job, and they do the job well. I've currently, I do have it jacked up a little bit, but I've got it turned up pretty high, but it's doing the job. So far, pros, you got power in your preamp, power in your headphone amp, enough to drive decent headphones. You've got a USB connection for power and a USB connection for data, and they're both USB-C. You have the option to use this as an interface into a DAW with that connection, with that USB-C connection. You don't have to use the card reader. Do whatever you want to do. But there's just, and that's just a few of the pros. Few of the pros right off the bat. We have mute switches. Unmute the mic. You can mute the other people on your podcast. We have some switches to provide phantom power. to each microphone. And then on the third one, you can switch over to a phone by plugging the phone in to the phone icon on the side. And you've got a Bluetooth adapter you can buy for $50 to just do Bluetooth instead of line in direct phone calls. Little tiny machine does it all. It freaking does it all, man. Now, granted, what is it? 16-bit, 48 kilohertz recording. So what? Like, seriously, so what? It's podcasting, man. This is what it's made for. It's made for podcasters. You find me someone who's going to be able to tell whether you're in 16-bit or 24-bit listening to a podcast streamed in MP3 format going to a freaking server on Anchor or something. Tell me who's going to pick that sound out. Oh, that quality's not quite 20. What the? Come on. Come on. This is fine. This is CD quality recording. For a podcast, it's just voices. It's just, come on. This will power an SM7B. This will power an Electro Voice RE 320, 20, whatever. It's got the power. It's got the power. It can do it. I mean, this is seriously a do-it-all machine. Is it perfect? No. But what device is? This is damn near close for the price to perfect. I mean, you can run any mic into it. And you got sound pads. So I can hit my sound pad here. I don't want you to know what that is. Thanks for joining a couple of 90s kids. You're listening to Stuck in My Generation. Yeah, so that's the Stuck in My Generation podcast. I can just roll right with it. Just roll right with it. If I want to travel, I've got my sounders in there. I don't even have to do a lot of editing after I'm done with the episode. It's great. It's great. I need some power. Be right back. I'm down to a single bar of battery power on the Podtrak P4, but that's convenient because I got this nice big battery pack here, and I can just plug it right into the side here on the Podtrak P4 in the DC 5-volt option. And there we go. Battery power, no longer an issue. Doesn't matter. Honestly, the only con is the one that people are talking about, which is the 16-bit, whatever. Whatever, man. Whatever. Let me show you some other cool things about this. We got readouts on this thing. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but as you can see on track number 1, it's got a readout. It's not perfect, but you know, I definitely can tell that I'm not hitting full capacity and I'm not clipping. So I mean, readout. You've got a menu with all kinds of features I can't do because I'm recording. But you got filters and you got options and you got, you know, I think you can do WAV or MP3. There's just so much that this can do. So you can adjust the level of the sound pad with just a quick and easy knob. That's what she said. Just a quick and easy knob. You got individual knobs for every headphone jack. Individual knobs for every mic input. If I didn't love my Rodecaster Pro and didn't have everything I want wired up to this thing, if I didn't love my studio setup, if I could do it all over again, maybe, I'm not 100% on this, but at the price, the Podtrak P4 makes a lot more sense than the Rodecaster Pro. I like the Rodecaster Pro. Like, I don't keep anything expensive, and I have, you know, that. It's like the one thing I want to keep that's expensive because it's got the audio processing built right in, and it's got everything hooked up to it. My setup in here is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it all works because of the Rodecaster Pro, because of all the connections on the back. I've got cords running to computers. I've got audio cords split out 10 different ways from this thing. I could probably accomplish that on the Podtrak P4, but I'm not gonna mess with it. I bought this as a travel option, and why am I doing a video? Because I sold it. Because that's what I do. Because I have to keep this channel going. And to do that, I have to get money for mics and more stuff. But that's not the only reason. I also bought a Shure X2U, and I like it. I don't absolutely need this. I don't know when I'm going to have 3 other people on the road doing a podcast. Usually we all come to the studio when I do anything with my podcast pals. So this is kind of overkill for me on the road. Really, I could just take the Shure X2U, run it straight to my phone, and that's a really quick, easy setup. Really, all I have to have with me is a mic, the Q2U, and a USB cord, Q2U, X2U. So this is kind of overkill, but no cloud lifter needed for a Shure SM7B. You know, you don't need that with the Zoom Podtrak P4. So even though it's plastic, and you may have watched a review that's like, oh, that's 16-bit. If you are just podcasting, this is literally, it's perfect, man. It's literally perfect. The only thing I don't like about it, and only because I like vintage microphones, is the XLR connections are not a combo XLR connection. You can't plug a 1/4-inch jack into this without an adapter, and even then, that's sometimes dicey. But I mean, most people just use XLR. Most people aren't using old Sony mics with a 1/4-inch jack. So, it is what it is. Anyways, I highly recommend the Podtrak P4 if you're a podcaster, especially multi-person podcast. And even if you're not, this thing's still small enough and the price is right that I would buy this if it was a 1XLR rig, as long as it had all the same features. So, Podtrak P4 gets a big, fat green light from me. So anyways, folks, just want to make a quick video showing some love and appreciation for the Podtrak P4. Yeah, I didn't go through every little thing, but there's plenty of videos out there for that. I basically just wanted to come on here and recommend it. I just wanted to recommend it. If podcasting is your game, you know, this is an interface and portable recorder all in one, and it does all of it well. It does all of it well. The price is just the way it is because it's plastic, and, you know, it's not the latest and greatest of everything tech. It's just damn near the latest and greatest everything tech. Those preamps, though, can't argue with that. You can run an SM7B, no cloud lifter. Cloud lifter's starting to become obsolete, in my opinion. A lot of devices coming out that power it just fine. Yeah, it helps a little, but again, if you're watching me just to hear people talk into mics, chances are you're podcasting or streaming, and a little bit of background hiss isn't going to kill anyone. It's not going to run anyone off. I'd rather have a little bit of hiss than pay $150 for a cloud lifter. Or I could have no hiss and just grab this device here. Either way. Thanks for watching. Bark is out. Obscure Mics. Peace out, folks.